Libya declares oil crisis over after state reclaims ports. Libya's acting Prime Minister Abdullah al-Thinni said the government had reached a deal with the rebel leader controlling oil ports to hand over the last two terminals and end a blockade that crippled the OPEC nations' petroleum industry. We have successfully reached an agreement to solve the oil crisis. We have received today Ras Lanuf and Cider oil ports thankfully without the use of force, Thinni said at Ras Lanuf terminal in eastern Libya. I officially declare this is the end of the oil crisis. Thinni said the ports had been reclaimed after an agreement with Ibrahim Jathran, whose fighters had seized the terminals almost a year ago to demand more regional autonomy. Jathran told reporters that he had handed over the ports as a goodwill gesture to the new parliament, which was elected last month. Taking back the two major eastern oil terminals could make around 500,000 more barrels a day of crude available for export, a major breakthrough for the North African state, whose coffers have been hit hard by oil revenue losses. The end of the blockade would also see a final chapter of a crisis that included failed negotiations, threats to bombard rebels, and even an attempt by Jathran to dispatch an oil tanker that was later boarded on the high seas by U.S. commandos. Disputes over Libya's vast oil resources have been among the many triggers for conflict between rival brigades of former rebels and allied political factions since civil war ended 4 decades of Muammar Gaddafi's one-man rule in 2011. The announcement by Thinni and Jathran appeared to show a more solid agreement to end the oil standoff, but shipments may still face technical delays and past negotiations have been slowed by subsequent political disagreements. World oil fell below $112 a barrel on Wednesday, on a possible substantial recovery in Libyan exports. Libya produced around 1.4 million bpd, before a wave of protests, strikes, and blockades reduced the output to as low as 150,000 bpd as of Tuesday. National crude output stood at 321,000 bpd. Jathran's rebels and their allies, who were all former state oil protection guards before their mutiny, had agreed in April to reopen the two smaller ports, Zuwaydah and Hariga, and then gradually free up Cider and Ras Lanuf. After that deal, shipments from Zuwaydah were delayed, the cause of technical damage from the blockade, while Hariga terminal loaded a tanker of crude at the end of last month. Storage tanks at seized ports are likely full, and loading initial crude will be straightforward, but getting resupplies from oil fields may be complicated. Separate protests have also curtailed production at some oil fields, and other groups may still target pipelines and oil facilities to make political or financial demands on a government that struggles to control many parts of the country.